Right, this is the one that we all want to talk about. The big fight, the main event, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And I got a lot to say about this. So obviously, Tom Aspinall is a freak of nature. He's gigantic for the weight division. He's agile, he's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's well-rounded, all that stuff. You've heard me talk about him and glaze him many, many times.
I think so, because we both move unlike regular heavyweights. We both have good footwork, judge the distance well. We don't go in just swinging without any thought, you know what I mean? We're both.
You fight the people that are in front of you. And in about 10 days from now, that'll be Ciryl Gane, who presents an interesting matchup that may have Tom Aspinall in some danger.
My feeling, I remember, because I got an experience now, less pressure.
Cyryl's the guy I'm fighting, so he's the biggest test right now. John Jones is retired, so I don't really have much to say on that, to be honest. So I'm fighting this guy, and this guy's really good, so I'll be as ready as I can be.
This is it, the fight everyone's been waiting for. Tom Aspinall steps in with knockout power and relentless aggression, while Ciryl Gane brings world-class movement and pinpoint accuracy. This isn't just another heavyweight fight. This is the battle that determines who controls the future of the entire division. Let's start with what Alexander Volkanovski sees when he watches Ciryl Gane fight. Volkanovski breaks down Gane's striking game, and it's all about being patient and smart. Gane doesn't rush in throwing haymakers. He waits for the perfect moment, uses clean footwork, and controls the pace by messing with his opponent's rhythm. Every move has a reason behind it. That's high-level fight intelligence, and it's exactly why Gane is so difficult to crack.
I'd like to give you a little rundown first, and then it gives us something to look at while we're watching the tape. Gane, very safe striker. When I say safe, he doesn't overcommit. He doesn't fully commit with big shots all the time. He picks his shots very well. He waits for the right timing, the right time to fire. Sometimes I feel like he can be more aggressive because he is that good of a striker. But he tends to, even his kicks, a lot of them are just touching, just setting up, directing people where he wants them, cutting them off, sort of just breaking the rhythm to set up other things afterwards, or, just constantly playing them little games. Even though he can be such a superior striker than some of these guys, he still does it.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Volkanovski also explains why Tom Aspinall is such a nightmare matchup for anyone. Tom's not just some wild brawler throwing punches, hoping one lands. He's explosive, unpredictable, and incredibly smart with his timing. He switches speeds on you, throws off your game plan, and lands heavy shots when you're least ready for them. Mix that with serious grappling ability, and you've got a fighter who makes even the safest game plans fall apart.
Tom Aspinall's that good, he's that explosive, and he's clever enough. He doesn't just straight away blitz in. He does try and give you a good, and then sort of catch you, break the rhythm of when he goes in that sort of footwork, and he does a sort of bounce around and then just goes. So you can sort of break that rhythm. Gane is good enough to maybe try and get a read on that, but is he too safe to just try and counter? And we know Tom Aspinall's a great wrestler. Does he just, when he blasts, could he be blasting the big double leg? Could he be blasting strikes?
Now this is where the doubt starts creeping in. Wade Plemons isn't completely buying into the Tom Aspinall hype just yet. Sure, Tom's been destroying everyone, but here's the problem. Most of his fights end so fast that we haven't actually seen what happens when things get hard. Wade wants to see Tom hurt, tired, and forced to dig deep. He thinks Ciryl Gane might be the first guy who can really push Tom and show us what he's made of.
I'm still not necessarily convinced that Tom Aspinall will be the greatest heavyweight we've ever seen, or that he's as good as people are telling me he is, because I want to see more of what he brings in a fight that doesn't just go one round. And I'm not saying that's his fault. You fight the people that are in front of you. And in about 10 days from now, that'll be Ciryl Gane, who presents an interesting matchup that may have Tom Aspinall in some danger.
That being said, Wade admits the hype around Tom isn't coming from nowhere. Tom's been absolutely crushing people. Apart from one injury setback, he's made everyone he's faced look like they don't belong in the same cage. Wade says the hype is justified, but he also points out that Tom hasn't faced anyone who's really tested his limits yet. That's what makes this Gane fight so massive. This could be the moment we finally see if Tom is the real deal.
Everywhere you turn on the internet right now, everyone is, I don't want to, it is glazing to a degree, but everyone is on the Tom Aspinall hype train. And I understand why, because Tom Aspinall, since he's gotten to the UFC, has pretty much made light work of every fighter he's ever stood in front of, outside of the weird kind of knee injury TKO loss to Curtis Blades, which he then came back and beat Curtis Blades very dominantly in their second fight. So it's hard. It's hard to look at Tom Aspinall's strength of schedule here, if we're using college football terms, and believe there's anybody on there that would have been threatening to Tom.
Wade goes even deeper with his analysis. He says Tom's resume doesn't have enough elite names on it. The heavyweight division is pretty thin right now, and outside of a couple solid wins, Tom hasn't really been pushed by top-level competition. Wade's take is that Gane is probably on the same level as the guys Tom's already beaten, which is exactly why he still favors Tom to win this fight. It's a backhand compliment, but it raises questions.
Maybe, Ciryl Gane would have been. Pavlovich was a big puncher and potentially could have given Tom some problems, but stood right in the pocket with him and got dropped. I just don't see any. The heavyweight division is rough right now. It is awful. And outside of 2 or 3 big names that you could mention right now in that division, a Sergey Pavlovich, a Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, a Ciryl Gane, a Tom Aspinall, there really isn't anyone that's there that either gets people excited or presents an opportunity for Tom Aspinall to potentially have a tough matchup. Now, with all that being said, this strength of schedule doesn't really tell me a lot about Tom Aspinall and what his capabilities are when he goes to that next level. Do I think Ciryl Gane is that next level? No, I don't. I think that Ciryl Gane is this level, the level of guys that he's already beaten, which is why I am picking Tom Aspinall to win this fight.
Because up to this point, it's been smooth sailing for Aspinall. Every opponent he's faced has crumbled under that early pressure. But what happens when the fight goes past the first round? When the pace slows and fatigue starts setting in? That's where the real questions begin. Gane has the experience, the composure, and the technical skill to drag Aspinall into those deep waters. Wade believes if anyone can expose the holes in Tom's game, it's Gane, a fighter who's been to the championship rounds and knows how to manage chaos. So while the world may be calling Aspinall the next big thing, Wade's holding his judgment. He wants proof. Not just quick knockouts, but resilience, adaptability, and heart. And UFC 321 might finally give us the answers we've been waiting for. MVP jumps into the conversation with a strong prediction. He calls Tom Aspinall the future of the heavyweight division, period. MVP compares Tom's rise to how Jon Jones dominated his division with a style nobody had seen before. He thinks Tom's doing the exact same thing at heavyweight right now. The speed, the power, the technical skill, it's all new for this weight class. While MVP respects what Gane brings, he believes Tom's explosiveness and wrestling give him a clear advantage. He said, I'm, a fan of Ciryl Gane as well. I just feel like Tom Aspinall is the next generation of the same thing we saw the likes of Jon Jones doing in terms of the dominant fashion that he took over his division. I feel like the same thing is gonna happen with Tom Aspinall. That style at heavyweight is unseen. Dan Hardy gave his honest take on the matchup, saying Tom Aspinall's well-rounded game could be a nightmare for Ciryl Gane. He explained that the tools Gane usually uses to dominate other heavyweights might not work this time, since Tom matches or exceeds him everywhere. Hardy believes Aspinall's mix of striking and grappling could make this fight heavily one-sided in Tom's favor.
I know Cyryl's going to be able to stop Tom taking him down.
Yeah.
I think this is a bad matchup for Ciryl Gane. And I like Ciryl, I like his game, I like the style that he has in the heavyweight division because it's very different. But I feel like the advantages that Ciryl has against most heavyweights, he doesn't have against Tom. And Tom's also got the punching power and the ground game to beat him. I think Tom's going to clean his clock. I think it's going to be one-sided.
Dan Hardy added that while he expects Tom Aspinall to dominate, it likely won't be as quick or lopsided as Ciryl Gane's loss to Jon Jones. He joked that fans might start comparing how fast Tom can finish Gane, wondering if that pressure is sitting in the back of Tom's mind. Hardy even predicted the post-fight chatter before it happens.
I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as Ciryl versus Jon Jones. So what I'm expecting after this is, you didn't beat him as fast as Jon did. And I don't know whether that's playing on the back of Tom's mind is like, how long does he have to beat him? Like, we should have a timer on the 2 minutes 4 seconds.
MVP doesn't stop there. He breaks down the key difference between these two fighters. Gane moves well and has good rhythm, no question about it. But MVP says Tom's power is on a completely different level. The snap on his punches, the explosiveness in his movement, the overall skill package, it's just superior. MVP thinks even if the fight stays on the feet and the wrestling never comes into play, Tom can still knock Gane out cold. MVP further said, Ciryl Gane has a little bit of a bounce in him as well. I just don't think he's got the same snap and power that Tom Aspinall has, as well as the ground game as well. Although you probably won't see it in this fight, I feel like he could get a knockout in this.
Fight has always been looked at as like the next gen of heavyweight, but now you've been preparing for it and you've been studying Ciryl perhaps more than you ever have before. Do you still agree with that assessment?
I think so, because we both move unlike regular heavyweights. We both have good footwork, judge the distance well. We don't go in just swinging without any thought, you know what I mean? We're both tactical, technical, good movers, big athletic guys. I think it makes for a good matchup.
Tom Aspinall himself has a different perspective on what this fight really represents. For him, this isn't just about getting another win on his record. This is about proving that a new generation of heavyweights has arrived. Tom points out that both he and Gane bring skills you rarely see in the heavyweight division. Clean movement, smart distance control, real technical ability. According to Tom, this fight isn't about who can hit harder. It's about who's faster, smarter, and more skilled when the cage door closes.
What is the game plan going against a fighter like this when you know it's not going to go for decision, most likely?
Everybody know my strength, everybody know his strength also. I can do very well to manage my distance and go to the second round. But even a different way. If I want, I can go also really fast at the very first round and maybe to go on the deep water with Tom Aspinall, you see.
So you're ready to take him to deep water for the first time in his career?
Yeah, probably.
Ciryl Gane has his own strategy mapped out. He knows both of them have the power to end the fight at any second. Gane says he can either keep things technical and controlled from distance, or he can turn up the pressure early if that's what the moment calls for. But here's the part that should worry Tom. Gane is confident his cardio and fight strategy will really come alive in the later rounds. He wants to take Tom into championship rounds and see if he can survive there.
Just in here saying that he can manage his distance better than anyone that you fought before, and therefore he will be the one to be able to take you into these deep waters we so often speak about. There's this idea that's being spoken about that you have to finish this fight in 2 minutes to sort of like look as impressive as John and stuff like that. I'm sure you've heard that narrative, but what is your take on it?
Did he actually use the word deep waters?
He did.
Everybody who said the word deep waters gets knocked out in the first minute. Go back and check the media that you've done. So, I'm pretty happy with that. That's good.
Tom doesn't flinch at that challenge. When people tell him that Gane's distance control will be his biggest test, Tom just smiles and reminds everyone of one simple fact. Every single person who said they'd take him into deep water ended up getting knocked out quick. His confidence isn't loud or flashy, but it's rock solid. He knows his power is different, and he trusts his timing is sharper than anyone gives him credit for.
Been in big fights, like they just mentioned, with John Jones and Francis Ngannou. Now looking at this fight with Tom, how would you compare the pressure leading up to those fights to this one?
My feeling, I remember, because I got an experience now, less pressure. I remember my first big fight, I'm going to say big fight against Francis Ngannou. I remember because also the storytelling and the fight week was huge also, like many media to do, many stuff to do. More pressure for Ngannou, a little bit less for Jones, and less for Tom Aspinall.
Meanwhile, Gane opens up about the mental side of this fight. His first big fight came with crazy pressure, cameras everywhere, media going wild, everyone watching and judging. But he's been through it all now. He's learned how to block out the noise and focus on what matters. Heading into this fight with Tom Aspinall, Gane feels completely calm and locked in. The pressure doesn't shake him anymore. He's ready.
Obviously, Tom Aspinall is a freak of nature. He's gigantic for the weight division. He's agile, he's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's well-rounded, all that stuff. You've heard me talk about him and glaze him many, many times. Oil him up, whatever you kids say these days, right?
When's this oil thing going to go away?
But he's going up against Ciryl Gane, and this is where it gets interesting because Ciryl Gane can match him for all those athletic attributes. He is just as fast. He's probably lighter on the feet. He's probably a better kickboxer, probably a little more graceful, probably a little bit more fluent on the feet. Of course, this isn't a kickboxing fight though. It is a mixed martial arts contest, and you know damn well that Ciryl Gane knows this, and he's learned from the lessons from losing to Jon Jones.
Finally, Michael Bisping wraps everything up perfectly. He explains why this matchup has everyone so excited. Tom Aspinall is a rare type of heavyweight. He's explosive, agile, and skilled in every area of fighting. But Bisping also gives Gane full credit. He brings elite footwork, clean striking technique, and a legit kickboxing background to the cage. This isn't going to be a sloppy brawl. It's two of the most athletic heavyweights in the world playing high-level chess with 4-ounce gloves on. The time is almost here. Two absolute killers, one octagon, and nowhere to run. We've seen them train, heard their predictions, watched their game plans unfold. But when that cage door locks, only one man walks out as the future of the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall represents the new wave, fast, powerful, and calculating every single move like a machine built for destruction. Ciryl Gane is the veteran gatekeeper, calm, technical, and proven under the brightest lights. One of them cements their legacy. The other goes home with more questions than answers. So here's what everyone wants to know. Will Tom's speed and knockout power be too much for Gane to handle before the later rounds kick in? Or will Gane's experience and control break Tom down when fatigue sets in and things get ugly? Is this really the beginning of the Tom Aspinall era? Or will Gane prove that all the hype was just noise? Who walks out of that cage with their hand raised? The explosive young lion or the proven technician? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. And if you're loving these fight breakdowns and want to stay locked in for every major card, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications so you never miss another upload. Let's get it.